a drink order for a Cassie and Jessica. A Cassie and a Jessica. Cassie? Is it you Cassie? Jessica?
Yeah, Jessica.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Cheers. Hi. Thank you so much for joining me. I feel like it's such a special honor. Like I have a special guest. I mean, just so you guys know, this is Cassie Morain from the Circle of Trust podcast. And I am an avid fan.
Thank
so
you.
Is my husband.
Yes, our one male fan.
Yeah, your one male fan who is weirdly obsessed with your cousin Julie. He thinks her voice is sexy.
Probably the first time she's ever got it.
Word on the street is you are a fab singer. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, everyone knows that. So, I thought we would play a fun singing challenge.
Okay,
Let's get down?
Yes, I'm down.
Okay. You're going to pick a card from under the pile, and then you have to sing the song that's in the blue, like writing.
Okay.
Only saying the word that's on the card.
Got it. All right.
Okay.
Ooh, appropriate.
Okay, so what's your word?
Okay.
Coffee. Okay.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Coffee, 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 coffee. I think I know, but I want you to keep singing. Coffee, 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 coffee.
Adele.
Yes.
Never mind.
Coffee, coffee.
Someone like you.
Yes.
Yes! Okay, soap.
Okay.
Soap, 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 soap. Soap, soapy, soap, 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 soap. Soap, soapy, soap, soap, soapy, soap. Soapy, soap, 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 soap.
Oh, we found love.
Yes!
Yeah. Word is lemon.
Okay.
Okay. Oh. Alright. Lemon, 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 lemon.
Wait, I have no idea.
Lemon, 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 lemon.
I really don't know what you're saying.
Lemon, 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 lemon.
I got, guys, I literally give up. I literally don't know what you're saying.
Happy. Because.
Happy.
Yeah. Okay.
Uber.
Okay.
Why did I do this to myself? Okay. Uber, Uber, Uber. Uber, Uber, Uber. Uber, Uber, Uber. Uber, 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 Uber. Uber, Uber, Uber.
Tequila.
There's only one word.
Oh, okay. Ooh. Guacamole.
Ooh.
Okay.
You love Mexicans.
I
This
do
is
love
perfect.
Mexican food. Guacamole. Molly. Guacamole. 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 I'm a great singer.
I'm really sensing your range with this word, guacamole.
Did you get it?
Yeah. I think it moves like Jagger.
Yes.
I got it in the O's. That was actually the best word for that.
Yeah, I
Good job, guys.
Thanks for making me
Best
embarrassed.
singer. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Cassie.
Yes, I'm 37. I work at City of Life Church. I'm on staff there, and that's actually how we know each other, which is awesome.
Co-workers.
Yes, and I'm married to the wonderful Kyle Morain, who he's just wonderful.
He's that strong barista at the beginning.
Yes,
of
he's
the
a former barista, current amazing husband.
Yeah. You guys have been married for how many years?
Almost 3 in October.
Okay, so 3 years almost. So you were single, obviously, before that.
Yes.
So, we called this interview, this session, the fire of the waiting. And it's for multiple reasons, which we're going to get into later in the interview. But the first one that I wanted to talk to you about was waiting for your husband.
Yeah.
And that season of singleness. So share with us a little bit about what that season was like for you.
Well, I think, I wasn't really coming out of high school. I never really thought I'd be like the kind of girl who got married right away.
Yeah.
I wanted to like go to college. I wanted to start my career.
Yeah.
But I did really want like to be married and to have like that close, relationship with a man. But as my life went on and as I was like working, my prospects were kind of like, I just looked around and I was like,
Who's there?
yeah. And so I just lived my life, and then when I was about 26, I moved down here to Florida. Actually, that time of transition was really hard. It was like a really lonely time, because moving here, meeting whole new, or trying to make friends and find, my people.
Yeah.
It was just,
That's a big change.
Yeah, a huge change, and then not having a spouse, there was like a big season of loneliness there. And so, eventually, I found my tribe and my people, and I saw lots of them get married over that time, and I saw people 10 years younger than me getting married, and like looking and thinking like, man, am I gonna get a chance to do that? Has the time passed? So as I headed toward 30, I still had this really strong desire to be married, but I didn't see that happening, and it felt so out of my control. There's a part of it like, you put your best foot forward and you do your thing, but it's like you can't really make it happen. Yeah. And so I just determined as I headed into 30, I determined a couple things. That first of all, I was going to be the thing that I needed.
Come on.
The Bible talks a lot about sowing and reaping, and I think maybe people who watch this may not know much about that, but just about the idea of like planting seeds and then seeing them harvested. And when you plant those seeds, there's like a time where you don't see anything happening on the surface, and things seem dormant, like nothing's happening. And after time and waiting, you do see the result of that planting. And so I thought, man, what do I need the most in this season of my life? I need encouragement from other people like me. Right. And so instead of waiting for someone to come around and like pat me on the back, I had people like that, but I needed it like in a more pointed way. And so I thought, man, how can I be that for other people? So I started a small group.
I love that.
And it was through my church, and I targeted towards girls 25 to like 39 who are single.
So cool.
I met with a bunch of girls I had never met before in my life, had them in my home. Yeah. And that group of ladies became such a source of life for me. So that was one of the things I determined, like to be encouragement, and then I saw that, come back to me. And then the other thing that I really thought I needed to pursue was being whole. I'd been through some failed relationships throughout my 20s and early 30s, and those leave you broken. Yeah. And you realize after a while that you're kind of attracting the wrong kind of person.
So come on, somebody to hear that,
right? And I think if we're not careful, our brokenness can attract people with that same kind of brokenness. And I read a book for single women, and the lady said, work on your personal wholeness in this time.
It's such good advice.
I put my hand to that, and it was a process of time. I went to counseling. I dug into the Word, and I had times at the altar and just allowed God to really heal some spaces in my life. And I'm not done with that by any means, but I knew, like, if I wanted to be married to a man who was, like, emotionally whole, I needed to head that direction.
Come on.
The last part was, I just decided, like, no matter what happened, I wasn't promised marriage. I don't know, God could have had that for me and maybe not. But I had to just surrender to Him and realize that I needed to, like, love my life.
Come on.
And I didn't need to wait for a wedding dress or a wedding shower.
To be content.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, this was my life, and it was going by. And I could either love every day or wait for someday when, I would get married. And what if that someday never came?
Yeah.
And so I just had a blast. Like,
so good.
I had good friendships. I had a good social life, so that, like, I didn't feel this, like, need, like...
Or a void.
Right. And so when I did meet Kyle, my husband, we had known each other a long time, but when we really met, we didn't choose each other because we were trying to fill some void.
Wow.
It was like we went in eyes wide open.
Right.
It wasn't out of some, weird need or compulsion because, oh my God, I'm in my mid-30s and I'm not married. Yeah. I loved my life, and I
Yeah.
went in eyes wide open, like, I choose you,
Yeah.
and my life's still gonna be good
Yeah.
with you, but
Come on.
so,
And
yeah.
he's the gift. I
Oh
feel
my
like
gosh,
he's the
yeah.
prize.
God totally
Oh my
blessed me.
gosh.
And yeah, I mean, like, it was totally worth every minute of waiting. And I look back and I see what God did in my life and my heart over those 35 years. And I'm so glad that it didn't happen earlier,
Wow.
because I would have been like the Hot Mess Express.
Wow.
And we avoided a lot of stuff because
So good.
I had a lot of time. You know, some of us should take a little longer to work on.
You know,
And no,
Jesus
but
knows our hearts.
yeah. But yeah, so I think it was just very needed for me to wait that long, even in the middle of it when it felt so hard.
Yeah. That's
But,
so
yeah.
beautiful and so encouraging, not just for maybe women who are single and waiting,
Mhm.
but really for anyone in a waiting season. And this isn't the only time in your life that you've had to wait.
No.
And I know a little of your story, that shortly after you got married to Kyle, you guys experienced another really hard season
Yeah.
of waiting. And would you mind just sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we're kind of in the middle of a waiting right now. And
Yeah.
so, but it all started back after Kyle and I got married. We decided to like enjoy our married life for 6
Mhm.
months and then, you know, start trying to have a baby because I'm 30. Well, at the time I was 35.
Mhm.
And you know, you have like the pressure of the clock's ticking.
Yeah.
And so we, after about 6 months, we started trying to have a baby. Nothing happened. And then we waited another 6 months. Nothing happened. And then I was like, well, you know, maybe I should go to the doctor and make sure everything's okay.
Mhm.
And before that, we had gone to a women's conference in New York called Color Conference. It's by Hillsong. You actually encouraged me to go to that first one.
Crazy.
And at the conference, the girls I was with all prayed for me because they knew that that was my desire and that there was a moment, an opportunity to pray. And I really felt God settle something in my heart, like, this is okay, your miracle's in motion. And I held on to that. And then when I came home, then I was like, well, maybe I should go to the doctor and just make sure everything's okay. So they called me and said they wanted me to come in right away on Monday to get my test results. And I had this feeling like, do they do that? Like when the results are good? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So Kyle and I went, and in that appointment, my doctor told me that they found endometrial cancer in my test. And I was just gutted. I mean, first of all, I didn't even know what that meant. Like, what's my prognosis? What they just said.
How
you know,
serious?
Yeah, and he gave me this paper, and it said, stage 2 and long medical terms, and you know, I'm a researcher. Like, I will Google it to death if you let me.
Totally.
And I kind of knew, like, if I did that it would put me in a bad headspace.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, I was a wreck, honestly, like on the car ride home, and I just couldn't get a grip, and it was really hard because just not knowing, like, what does this mean for my future, for like my life, like, and so we went home. I made an appointment with the oncologist that I was recommended to see, just crying, like, and Kyle and I sat on the couch and we prayed and took communion, and then my pastors came and prayed for me, like, right away, and spoke the word over me. Yeah. And then we scheduled a surgery. And that time between the diagnosis and the surgery, it was about 4 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
And I just remember every day being so scary. Like, I was in this tough mental battle between what I know God's promised me, that it's going to be okay, and that no matter what happens, He's with me. And then this other side, that's what's on this paper, this diagnosis. And by that time, I had Googled a few things just to kind of know what I was facing. And so, I mean, I walked through a really dark time. And I have to say, like, the Psalms and God's Word were such an anchor for me during that time. And that was how I had to start my day every day to get my head right, because otherwise there was just too much to think about. And so I remember on the way to surgery, just feeling so scared and, not knowing what the outcome would be, and going in, and they called us to do the results again after it was all over, you know, a little bit, and I was really concerned because you just never know, you know, and I'm holding on to God's promises, but I also know that whatever happens, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like, He's with me. We can do this.
Yes.
And we sat in the doctor's office, and he turned around. He was like standing at this counter, and Kyle and I are just sitting there like,
what are you going to say?
Whatever you say in the next, you know, 10 seconds is going to determine what the next 6 months of our life looks like.
Yeah.
And he turned around and he said, well, when we did your surgery, we didn't find any cancer. And we were just like stunned.
Yeah.
I mean, God had truly done a miracle. And he went on and tried to, like, you know,
Explain
give some
it.
scientific reasons why this could have happened. But I just knew in my heart, like, God did it. It was Him. Like, it was a miracle. And so it was just so cool. Like, you know. But it had to start with, like, me being just settled in my heart that, like, no matter what, I was going to be okay.
Mm.
So, yeah, God just worked an incredible miracle.
My goodness.
And now, you know, so I went through a treatment process of about 9 months where I was taking a medication, and I've just come off of it. So we're still in a waiting process and kind of waiting to see what will happen, but God has already been so faithful, and I know, you know, when we hold our baby, it's just going to be another sign of His faithfulness, and so we're excited.
So good. And that's so encouraging, you know, for people listening, that it's not even really about the miracle. Mm-hmm. It's about the God that was faithful in the process of the miracle coming. So, where are Cassie and Kyle now?
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your side hustle.
Oh, yeah. Well, in the middle of all the craziness that was going down with the doctors and, you know, diagnoses and I had this idea to do a podcast with my two best friends who are also sisters and my cousins. It's like very familial. Anyway, and their dad had passed away right before I received my diagnosis in that February. And then, you know, I was going through my thing, but we just kind of like felt like we needed to do it, even though there was a lot going on and they were grieving and I was, you know, going through my stuff. And so we just did it. And that was tough for me because I'm kind of a perfectionist, you know, like, I don't like to show if I'm incompetent. And I don't want people to know that I don't know what I'm doing. And the whole idea of podcasting was a completely new thing for me.
Right.
But I read a quote that really, like, kind of kicked me into gear. And the quote said that if you look back on the first example of whatever you did, and it doesn't embarrass you to death, then you waited too long to start.
That is so convincing,
right? Because, you know, we just want to wait for all the bows to be tied pretty and to know what we're doing.
I totally relate.
So we just started, and our first episode sounds so horrible, but
let me tell you, it's a good one.
I just have learned a lot on the way, and it's just the three of us talking about life, and we talk about different topics, and we laugh a lot.
It's so funny.
Yeah, that's the point.
It's seriously hilarious.
It's just for us to get together and talk. So as far as Kyle and I are concerned, like I said, we've been just ending a treatment process, and we're still waiting.
Right. And
that's pretty tough, you know, because we've been through a lot, and God's been really faithful, and we're still just waiting. And God's been so good, though. The other day in church, our pastor was talking about how, you know, you don't have to work to earn God's love or His favor. And God spoke to me so clearly, because I think sometimes when we're in a waiting process, we feel like we have to, like, stay busy and work. And, you know, there's a place for that sometimes. I felt like in my single journey, I was like, it was good for me to stay busy and to do what I could do. But I'm in a different kind of waiting process now where the Lord has just told me, rest in the finished work.
Wow.
And, you know, when Jesus...
Strong.
Yeah, it's been really important for me to know, like, I don't have to toil. I don't have to hustle. I can just rest that He's done it, that when Jesus died for me and said, it is finished, He purchased my salvation, my healing, everything I need for life. And I can just rest in that. And it's a lot different than your miracle being in motion, because that's like,
Yeah.
You know, it's moving, and right now God's just telling me, rest.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah, you have to be sensitive to the season you're in.
Yeah, and so, you know, I'm doing that. I'm not trying to
Make anything work.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna rest. So yeah, that's
Well,
what's
and I
happening
can
now.
see the grace on you and Kyle for that season, and you guys are walking in that so well,
We're trying.
so gracefully, and it's not easy, but I believe that ministers to people. Probably I can just even see people on the other side of this just being like, oh, like I can take a deep breath.
Absolutely.
I can stop.
Yeah.
And just really let God do what He's doing.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. And not work yourself into some kind of frantic, like, tizzy, like, what's going to happen? Just rest.
Yeah.
He's
That's
doing it.
such a
He's
good-
already done it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, this is such a beautiful way to end this interview. And I'm so grateful for you being here today, for joining me. And I just believe that this is going to bless so many people.
Thanks, Jen.
So, with that being said, that's a wrap. Woo! Yeah! You're good.
We found soap.
Okay,
in a
we
soap
found
display.
soap. Crap.
Can I say that?
Yes. Crap. Eggs. Gotta get the right key. Wait, I really don't know how to start. Eggs. This is a hard song. Eggs.